Good morning. Hi, I'm Tim, and this is Selfless Awakening. And today is the first day of my 30-day live Instagram selfless, mindfulness, spiritual, metaphysical, whatever you want to call it, talks. What I'm going to do, hey everybody, what I'm going to do this morning is begin this 30 days of awakening adventure. And what that's going to be is really simple. I'm going to wake up in the morning and do my usual meditation, become really present, just ask the universe, what can I share that may be of service to someone else, some intuitive guidance, something that's come up to me. And so here we go. This is day one. And what are we going to talk about today? All right. First thing I want to do is just introduce myself a little bit, who I am, and how I came to be doing Selfless Awakening. My name's Tim Welch. I'm a vocal instructor. I also do coachings, personal coachings. I'm a dad. I'm a music producer. These are all of my labels, my egoic constructs that have come to be this avatar, this being that I am. And along this journey, I've had a lot of teachers along the way that have gifted me with insights that have helped me get to the next level of peace, joy, levity, fun, excitement, purposefulness, connection to intuitive guidance. There have been so many teachings and insights that have come to me that I feel that it's my job to share those. It feels silly to hold on to these, what feel like treasures, these keys to the kingdom, and not share them. And so in my meditations, there's been a lot of clarity, and it's time to talk about the things that you do, the practices you do, and the things that you've learned that have made you feel this consistency of inner bliss and inner joy and all of that good stuff. So that's what this is about. This is about sharing those tools so that maybe I can help someone else. And even if it's just one person I help, like that's enough for me. And I don't even know if I need one person, truthfully, because the thing about it is with this idea, what I know really well, what I know very clearly is that when I'm transmitting, when I'm sharing about this deep internal, this evolution of higher consciousness type stuff, I know that I'm the one that benefits from that. There's something so magical in the transmission of this information that I'm the one that gets high from it. So, that's what this is really all about me getting high. No, not really. But so here we go. I'm going to share also, one thing I want to say about it is I want to share from my experiences, and I'm going to do the best I can to stay away from getting into pontificating on intellectual ideas about mindfulness or intellectual ideas about spirituality. I want to stay in the world of talking about my experiences, what's happened to me, or what's happened with people that either I'm working with or friends of mine or whatever, and just talk about very real, grounded, down-to-earth tools that I actually do, and not with this, I'm not trying to gimmick or get clients or buy my plan. This is really about transmission and getting high on just the evolution and the sort of the feeling of talking about spirit. I don't know if you guys have that experience, but for me, when I talk about mindfulness and self-betterment and finding life purpose, and when I actually get on that train of conversation with someone or just with live Instagram, I get a buzz, I get excited. When I'm done with this whole video, I'm going to be buzzy for the rest of the morning when I go start working with clients. So, So I don't know if you guys are like that too, but this is one of the joys I get from this. I'm going to talk for 30 days every morning after I'm done meditating about this stuff. So what came up for me today when I was meditating? Let's get right to it. As I was meditating this morning and I asked intuitive guidance, what would you like me to talk about? There really were three things, and I'm still not, until which one pops out of my mouth, sure which one it's going to be. Let's see right now. Okay, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be talking about the blissful thing that can happen inside of you when you meditate. That's what I want to talk about first. That was coming up this morning as I was meditating, and I did a video talking briefly about Sadhguru, who I'm reading Sadhguru's book now, Inner Engineering, which is really great. And the reason I was drawn to Sadhguru is because he, in an interview on impact theory with Tom Bilyeu, he was talking about this moment when he was 25 where he was meditating, or he closed his eyes, and he had this blissful, ecstatic state that came over him. And he said he could go back to that state anytime he closed his eyes. He could just go right back to that state. And then it was from that state that he had this idea that he wanted to teach the world how to do that, how to find that state, how to get to this place of inner bliss no matter what the external circumstance is talking about. And I want to say that I experienced that a lot of the time, and it's not something I'm like, hey, I can do it, and look, and you can't. It's like I believe that we all have access to whatever that thing is, that internal bliss, and what it feels like. The first thing I want to say about it, from me, just in a very grounded kind of, what's my experience actually with that bliss feeling? Here's what it is. It feels like, honestly, it feels a little bit like when someone's about to tickle you and you don't want to be tickled, but it's kind of funny at the same time. You're like, no. It's like you feel giggly. It also kind of feel like, think of that state of being that, like, ooh, that kind of excited, a little silly, a little childish feeling. It feels kind of like that. Or it also feels like, for me, like if I'm ever going up a roller coaster and you're right to that point where you're about to go over and start going down, and everyone's excited and it's, here we go, like that feeling. The blissful state of meditating for me, when I go deep, and I call it going deep, like when I talk to my girlfriend Jessie about, like she was like, what are you doing this morning? And I say, oh, I just had this blissful meditation. I went really deep. What I'm talking about when I would tell her that is like, I meditated into that blissful place, that buzzy, tingly type of place, and I just keep going deeper into it and deeper into it. And as I go deep into it, oh, hi, I didn't know you're here, Jessie. I love you. As I go into that deep place, I can feel, it's like whatever that excited feeling, I'm going up a roller coaster and things are getting excited feeling, whatever that feeling is, intensifies in my body. It gets like, woo, it just gets kind of open and open. And oh, hi, Jessie. By the way, Rebel Hippie Soul that just said hi right there, that's my spiritual partner, my girlfriend. She's in the comment thread. Go follow her. She writes, she does amazing things. She's also a coach, and she does amazing stuff on her website. She does stuff on her Instagram too, but go follow her. Love you, baby. All right, so back to this inner blissful thing. Meditating, like, I just want to say this, it's so important. Like, right now we're in a culture and in a time where all the words that we're using to point to things are getting all jumbled up. When, like Sadhguru was talking about in his book Inner Engineering, he was talking about the word yoga and how the word yoga has become basically a series of stretches or physical exercises, which is not what yoga means. Yoga means union, and And we get these words get all so loaded, and it's very important, like when we're talking about this stuff, to be clear that it's not about the words, it's about the experiences that the words are pointing to, you know. And so this blissful thing that I'm pointing to is an actual experience. And so I'm looking for language to help point to how you can access that. Because think about that. It's like, imagine if in any moment of your life, you can be in a conversation with someone, you can be riding on the subway, you can be at work doing tasks that aren't eating up a lot of CPU in your mind, and you can actually trigger that buzzy, joyful, like, oh, I feel like you feel high feeling without doing any drugs. It's just this thing you can access, and I want you to believe it's true. And with meditating, the word meditation has become such a loaded word, like the word yoga I was talking about earlier. When people say meditate, they mean it sometimes to turn on an app like the Calm app on your phone, which is beautiful, which is a great place to start. But the app, like those Calm apps and things, first of all, they keep you near your phone, and your phone is the biggest mind teaser and mind activator that exists, that's ever existed. Your phone is your mind, basically. And when you're doing an app on your phone, you're still kind of in mind, okay? You're still in the identification of voice in the head and mind stuff. That's why sitting in nature and meditating is so important, because it breaks you out of the organization and the way the mind does things. The mind, like if you meditate in a city and you're looking at buildings, all of those buildings are created from the mind. Like they came from, they stimulate the mind, the angles, the geometry, the efficiency of the windows, the light, the creativity of the architecture, all of that, although it can be beautiful and can be transcendent. I mean, you can look at a building and go, whoa, that's beautiful. But there's more likelihood for that mind to trigger and activate after looking at a man-made beautiful thing versus nature. Like that's why meditating in nature is so powerful, is it doesn't play by the mind's game of organization necessarily, right? So when you do these apps, when you're meditating on your phone and it says, okay, breathe in, listen to the calm sounds, like that's all mind. The voice talking to you through the app is mind. It's mind, mind, mind. And the whole point of meditating is to step out of mind and get into that blissful, buzzy, that understand yourself as not the voice in your head. Right now, where we are in our culture and the evolution of human consciousness is we're coming out of a phase of mind identification, of thought about looking at your phone, about ideas, about talking, it's like monkey mind. Like the next evolution of human consciousness is stepping out of monkey mind. The next evolution of human consciousness, it's the people who are waking up and stepping out of mind identification, right? And so this is what meditation actually is, and this is where the true joy of meditating is. I don't think you can get to this blissful, deep, buzzy place with meditating if you're doing it on an app on your phone. I can't even get to that place if I'm doing mantra meditation, because even mantra meditation, what that is, if you don't know what that is, that's where you say the same thing over, Om Shanti, or you just keep repeating Om, Om, Om Shanti, that kind of thing. I think that's a great tool, but that's even, like, I feel that's still not the deepest level of meditation. The deepest level of meditation is where you are out of that altogether. You're out of ohms, you're out of affirmations, you're out of listening to apps that are giving you guided meditations. You've popped out of that completely, and all you're doing when you meditate is sitting inside of this field of stillness, this field of constant, non-physical electricity, buzzy, whatever the hell you want to call it. You're sitting in that, and that's you, and you can feel it as you. And the thoughts come into that, but they're not you. They come into the you, which is just this buzzy awareness thing that's always there, that's always present. And that's what meditating is. Meditating is about stepping out of the identification with the mind altogether. And so, how do you do that? Like, how do I do that? Like, what's the idea? This is just my practice. This is my experience with it, okay? I sit right over there on my little wicker outdoor chairs. And I, for me personally, and I don't think this is necessary in doing it, but I sit up really straight. I sit up straight, and then the first thing I do is I notice the buzzy, tingly feeling in my body. I notice, like, Eckhart Tolle talks about this, the inner body awareness meditation. I'll just sit there, and I hold my attention on my hands, and my hands feel kind of tingly and a little bit warm. And I notice the way my feet feel, and I just notice that feeling. And then also what I start to notice is I start noticing I start noticing where my identification is. And the voice in the head, whenever I wake up in the morning, most of the time, some mornings I wake up really blissful, and the voice in the head is very slow, and just like poof, thoughts are just kind of very slow and peaceful. Sometimes I wake up like that, but that's not usually how I wake up. Usually I wake up, my mind is like pop, 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 buzzing with ideas of like, oh, don't forget to call him. Oh, that's a great idea. Maybe you should do this class, or maybe this or that. Like my mind is firing a lot of ideas and all sorts of stuff. And so when I first sit down, it takes me a little while to, I'll put my awareness into that buzzy, tingly feeling in my body, and then the mind goes. And then I come back to it. And then the mind goes. And in the beginning, I allow that dance. I just allow the dance, the back and forth, the coming into identification of myself as tingly, buzzy thing inside, then to my thoughts. And I go back and forth. And then after a little while, I'll usually go to the next level of depth. And every level of depth that I get deeper into the meditation, the more I feel that blissful thing that Sadhguru is talking about, that like buzzy, tingly, whoa, what's that feeling, right? And so what I'll do is I just sit there with my inner body awareness, and I'm just observing the thoughts, I'm pulled by them back to the body, and then after that, the next thing I do is I start imagining behind my eyelids, I close my eyes and I imagine there's infinite space. And I just imagine I'm looking at the infinite space, and I just try to, for lack of a better word, I just try to feel that infinite space, and I hold my attention on it. And then I combine that with the feeling of that inner body, buzzy, tingly feeling, and I combine that emptiness awareness with the buzzy body feeling. And I'll still have thoughts come in, voices will still come in. I'll have a thought, the thoughts will come in like, hey Tim, what do you need to know? And I'll just go back to that big empty space feeling and the inner body feeling, and I hold it there, and I hold it there, thoughts back, thoughts back. And then as I hold it, there's something that happens into the, as I'm doing this holding of space and just feeling this expansive space feeling, that something happens right here in the center of my forehead. I feel this pressure, this like someone gently put their thumb on my forehead, and hey, what's going on? I feel this when I walk with presence in nature. Yes, that's exactly like this buzzy, this blissful feeling can happen when you walk in nature. And and I'll get back to talking about the stages of blissful meditation. And by the way, that is the way it is. Like there is somehow paradoxically there isn't a depth and there is a depth. There is somewhere to be and there's not somewhere to be. So many of these spiritual talks, the deeper you get, it's like two opposite things that both exist equally in the same space. And I have to say that there is a depth to this meditation thing, and I don't know how deep it goes. It keeps getting deeper for me the more I play with it, and every stage, every time I can get deeper into that identification of myself as the awareness that's always there, the space that's constantly there no matter what's happening in my head. The more that I deepen into that, the more I hold that space, the more I get this buzzy, tingly feeling I was talking about earlier, that like I'm going up a roller coaster and I'm about to go over, that whoa. And by the way, what I think it is on a biological level, you know, there's a lot of people talking about that. It's yes, like a push on the third eye. Exactly, yeah, that's what it feels like. As soon as I feel that push on the third eye when I'm meditating, I know I'm getting into that buzzy, that I like going juju place, that like woo, that tingly, like I feel like I have to get up and shake my body. I feel so excited, like a kid who's got ants in his pants or something. I get so ecstatic, you know? Like that's the idea, is it's literally like ecstasy kind of. So bliss is the right word. It's not peacefulness per se, although peacefulness is there. You feel like, well, you feel super peaceful, but you don't feel lethargically peaceful. You feel excited and peaceful at the same time, if that's possible, you know? Like that's the feeling. And the way to deepen in is literally like all I'm doing is I'm imagining myself as emptiness. Or, God, this is where words are so hard. I imagine myself as that buzzy, tingly feeling in my body, and I just hold it there, I hold it there, and then I combine that with looking at the emptiness when I have my eyes closed or when I have my eyes open. And when I have my eyes open, I just imagine, like my backyard is here, and I just imagine I am my whole backyard. And I just look at it, and I just hold space on it. And that's all I do when I meditate. I just imagine I'm emptiness. The mind tries to pull me. I come back to the emptiness. The more the emptiness wins, the more that my identification becomes dialed into the emptiness, combined with that body chi, whatever you want to call it. Again, this is experience. I'm talking from experience. The words I use are just to try to point you to the reality that there is an experience to be had in meditating that's not... Oh, we're back. Okay, it got paused because of poor connection. Hopefully it's going to be all right. So there is this actual experience to be had inside when you're meditating, like an actual thing. From a biological level, I've heard people talk about that, you know, when you do psychedelics like psilocybin or DMT, that you know, you're really activating receptors in your brain that are there and accessible even when you're not doing the drug. And a big experiment of mine has been to play with that. And I think that what happens when I get into that blissful place from a biological standpoint is I think something with the serotonin, like I feel like maybe that pineal gland, something, it could be that you get into the DMT release that can happen, that they talk about. There's a lot of new research coming up, and it's hard to find DMT in the body, but they believe that DMT comes into the body when we go into the dreamlike state. And so I think what's happening on a biological... All right, we're back. Sorry, my connection's a little fuzzy. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. But I think what happens is, on a biological level, you're triggering, you know, those receptors you have, you're triggering them to basically induce a psychedelic experience for yourself without the psychedelics. Because they know you have those receptors in your brain. Like, why do we have these receptors, right? It's crazy. So what you're doing when you go deep into meditating is, I think when you bliss out, you're kind of tripping, actually. I think that's what happens. And so I think I'm just tapping into that deep place physically just by stepping out of the voice in the head. And so much of it has to do with the practice of it. The practice of it really has to do with remembering the sensation from day to day. And that's another part of the deepening too, is that when you go deep on a Monday and you get into that blissful place and you just spend 30-40 minutes just focusing on I am the awareness. You don't even say I am the awareness, because that's a thought. You're just looking at emptiness and you're just like imagining you're the emptiness, and you feel that buzzy tingly thing in your body, and you're just there, and you're there, and the mind wanders and you come back to it. You do that for 30-40 minutes, you're going to be higher than you've ever been in your life. And you do it for 50 minutes, and if you keep doing it, you're going to go further. And it's such an incredible feeling. And then the next day, it's like you're going to be able to get back there faster. It's like you have the sensory memory of it or something. And so it's in that way. Oh, I'm sorry, it keeps getting paused with the connection. And in that way, it's a practice. Okay, I have a couple questions. I want to refer to those, or questions or comments. Let's see. Bridging Light left a comment. I don't get the body feeling like that, but the opposite. Like my body has blended into the air. Hard to explain. Yes, that's amazing. That observation, that's not far off from what. That observation isn't far off from what I experience when I'm meditating. That blending into the air feeling, like that's not dissimilar to what I experience. I feel it like an expansive feeling. It's like I feel like my whatever the stillness. Okay, I'm getting a lot of pauses because of the connection being a little slow here. I think I might need to find a place with a little better reception. But maybe it's time to get close to wrapping it up here anyway. This video is going to be on YouTube. I'm recording it with my better camera behind here. So I'm going to put up this talk every day for 30 days. I'm going to come out and have a little talk. So come back and join me too down the road, okay? But I want to get back to talking about this thing. Feel like you're blending. The comment from Bridging Light just a second ago was talking about how when they're meditating, they feel like you're blending into the air. And I understand that, like that's an experience that it's not far away from the experience I feel. It's like you feel like you're the space, not the body. You feel like you're emptiness, and not just a dead emptiness. It's like an alive emptiness. That's what it feels like, this feeling of stepping into that blissful meditative place, and stepping out of the mind thinking. Let me see, someone else left a comment. Do you get frustrated when it doesn't happen for a while? Okay, that's a good one. I used to, actually. I used to get frustrated when I wasn't able to tap into that blissful place. But see, here's the thing. When I got frustrated, that was not the real me getting frustrated. That's the voice in the head getting frustrated, right? Because the ego, the voice in the head, the mind construct, wants to be in charge of everything. Hey, what's up? The mind, like if you have a blissful experience meditating and you have an out-of-body experience and you're buzzing and you get up from it and you feel electrified and you feel like you could run 10 miles, you feel so plugged in. If you have that experience, the mind goes, holy shit, that was amazing. Like, you got to do that again. Let's do that again. And then as you start to meditate and the next day you go for it, the mind goes, okay, here we go. Let's get going. Let's get to that place. And so the mind goes, let's get back to that place. But the reality is you can't get back to that place with the mind. You can only get back to that place of stillness by stepping out of the mind. So the mind is very deceptive. It doesn't want you to be identified with, okay, I may need to stop because this connection's bad. All right, hopefully it'll stay flowing. The mind doesn't want you to be the stillness. The mind wants you to be identified with the voice in the head. So you have to allow, if you feel like you're getting frustrated because you can't get back to that deep blissful place, what you need to do is practice allowing that thought of I'm not back to that blissful place to exist in your awareness. Okay? It's that thought just needs to be honored. It needs to let the space, you need to hold space for that thought and not follow the thought stream that comes out of that thought. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's this idea of the bliss is in the stepping away from that thought altogether. And the mind will get very clever and it'll start saying, well, you weren't as deep in your blissful place today as you were yesterday. It'll play all these tricks on you. And that's just what the mind does. But it's all you do is even allow the frustration. If you feel frustrated, you can't go as deep in your meditating, just let it be. Let the frustration sit within the true you, which is the awareness of the frustration. You're not the frustration. You're that blissful, buzzy thing that's always watching everything. Like, that's you. You're that infinite space. And so getting to a place on your spiritual journey where you're able to allow the ebb and flow of identifying with yourself as non-physical and then sometimes being a person, like that back and forth, like that's super important. And the ebb and flow of the depth. I don't go as deep into that blissful place every day as I do other days. Some days, I guess I go, if I really think about it, I go into that deep blissful place a different way. Like someday, it depends. Like if I went really deep the day before, oops, there it keeps pausing. If I went really deep the day before, I may not, the next day I may only go a little deep, you know, but it depends, especially if something's coming up in me or if I'm in a transitional time in my life, I'll go deep a lot. I'll spend a couple hours a day. I'll spend an hour in the morning, half an hour in the afternoon, and then I spend some time in the evening as well. So anyway, so I think that the universe might be telling me it's time to shut this down and save some for tomorrow because the connection keeps coming and going. I'm going to find a better place that has a better connection to do this for tomorrow. But I think this is a good start. This was fun. I love talking about meditation, mindfulness, spirit, all this stuff. So just to wrap it all up, if you made it to the end of this talk, there is a blissful place inside of meditating, an ecstatic place, a place that you get high like you would on psychedelic drugs place. There is a place in there and you don't need drugs to get there, okay? But it's a practice, and it's a practice of identifying with non-physical and learning how to step out of the stream of thinking, which is harder now more than it ever has been in the past. There are so many things that happen. These phones, get in your phone and get out of your phone, because your phone is a mind game. And you need to get to this blissful place of meditating. It's the opposite of phone. It's the space around the phone. It's the infinite. Yep. Could you speak of cold weather and meditation in Can you speak if colder weather and meditation in nature? This is where I contract living in New England. I don't quite understand that question. Could you speak of colder weather? Cold weather does help. I mean, I think let's see, my connections keeps cutting out here. I think we have to stop here. It keeps cutting out and reconnecting. So we'll save this. Come join me. I'm going to be on tomorrow morning. Check in on the story. On my story, I'll post what time. I'm not sure what time I'm going to be on yet because I'm going to probably go do some running tomorrow. But check in on my story. I'll be on tomorrow and do some more talking, okay? So if you have any questions, or if you have a video that you would like me, or if you have a topic that you're interested in having a conversation about, just leave that for me, okay? And we'll go from there. But all right, this was fun. Thanks for participating, everybody, and I'll talk more about, anytime you have a question, bring it up, or an observation. I'll be happy to reconnecting. This is quite a practice of allowance, just letting the phone reconnect. All right, great. So, all right, we're back. Talk to you all soon. Have a beautiful day.